high school years from 1988 to 1991 hold the most beautiful memories in my recollection. At the school I attended, nearly half the students were white, with the rest being Hispanic, Asian, and black. It was a fairly large public school with almost 3,000 students spending their ninth through 12th grades there. Among them, there were about 150 Korean students. These 150 students were further divided into three groups: second-generation students born in the U.S. whose native language was English and who were indistinguishable from white students other than their appearances; 1.5 generation students who had immigrated to the U.S. around age 10 and were perfectly bilingual; and first-generation students who had recently immigrated to the U.S. Koreans don't mingle among themselves, even in Korea. The same I saw when I was in my high school, too. Consequently, close friendships rarely formed across these three groups. However, a few within my 1.5 generation group served as bridges connecting the first and second generations. This wasn't intentional. It was simply a natural choice based on the advantage of being bilingual. I, too, was one of those bridge-building kids, a 1.5 generation Korean American. Jin-hee was a second-generation Korean American, and she couldn't speak a word of Korean, but her friends weren't all white. She had many diverse friends around her. She was a kind-hearted girl, volunteering to teach English after school to newly arrived students who needed it, very different from those spoiled second-generation kids. In fact, she was one of the most popular girls at school. She spoke French quite well, was a member of the school's honor society club, and showed athletic talent, being on both the varsity tennis and varsity racquetball teams. She was the object of admiration for all the boys, white boys included. She was immensely popular, yet she never had a boyfriend. It was one of the wonders, not only among the boys, but also among the girls, too. Perhaps because her interests lay not in boyfriends, but in various school activities and outside volunteer work, rumors swirled about her being someone lucky guy's girlfriend or her liking someone, but nothing ever materialized. It was during this time that my connection with her began, on March 18th, 1991. In my case, I was very introverted back then, so I just watched from afar. From the first time I saw her in 1989 until the spring semester of our senior year, she was just one of the people I consistently shared 3 classes with over 3 years. First period was physical education class, third period was AP, advanced placement, math class, and then French class. The spring semester of the senior year was a very leisurely time for graduates. Since most seniors had already secured their college placements by around March, they only needed to take about 4 classes per day before heading home. Consequently, many students engaged in special activities on or off campus or worked part-time jobs. I too had already met graduation requirements, needing only 3 periods before leaving. Perhaps due to my introverted nature and focus on academics, I was accepted to a university that made my friends envious. It was in Manhattan, eliminating the need to move far away to another state. That year, early spring arrived, and during the first morning tennis class, we had a mixed-gender tennis game. The teacher randomly paired us up, and the luck I'd hoped for all 3 years but never found finally came to me that day. I was paired with her and played tennis for the entire period. Even though I clenched my teeth, determined not to make a single mistake, my tennis skills, which had been above average after 3 years of consistent practice, vanished. Entirely because of me, we lost all 3 matches. As tennis partners, we should have at least chatted or discussed strategy during the game, but I couldn't even speak to her. I just stared at the net and kept making mistakes. All I managed to say was, "Sorry. I must have caught a flu or something." An hour-long torture finally ended. I rushed to the locker room, hurriedly showered, and headed out into the hallway. My mind was blank. Without a single thought, I headed down the familiar hallway toward my next class. Then, Not too far behind me, I heard a voice calling my name, a girl's voice, a voice pronouncing my Korean name clearly and distinctly, a name I'd only shared with a few very close friends. Having heard that voice for 3 years, I knew immediately who it belonged to. I turned slowly to see her, the long black hair, white round neck shirt, white blouse, blue jeans, and brown bag, a sight always familiar to my eyes.